Hey, this is JR, aka The Tourist. I'm going to level with you. Chances are, you're not going to be blown away by the Hilton Bali Resort. Don't get me wrong, the resort is nice enough, but it sits in a neighborhood with some tough competition. The architectural marvel that is the Apurva Kempinski is right next door. The Hilton Bali is what it is, a big box resort, an average property on an average Bali beach. That said, if you know a few things going in, I think you can have an above average stay here, and at a pretty good price. Hang out with me for a few minutes and I'll say more. Nusa Dua is a quiet resort area skirting the eastern shore of Bali's southern peninsula. The Hilton sits at the lower end of the strip, but it's not much of a strip aside from the resorts. If you come into Nusa Dua, find a hotel that suits you, because there's not much else going on. The Hilton's entrance is understated. There's not much to the lobby. There is a lower lobby area affording views of the sea, and back up on the main level is Delhi, one of the 6 food and beverage outlets. Reception is here on the right, although my check-in took place in this lounge. At first I thought it was because of my Hilton Honor status, but turns out everyone checks in here. I arrived fairly close to check-in time, but still had to wait a bit for my room. The check-in staff seemed a little overwhelmed, but having a comfortable seat in my air-conditioned room made it a pleasant enough experience. Overall, I found the service suitably attentive, but given the number of rooms here, it's not exactly personalized. Let's head out into the resort and check out the room. Then we'll go down and see what's happening by the water. I booked a king guest room with a garden view, the entry-level room category, but was upgraded to what I think is an ocean view room in the cliff tower. In this part of Nusa Dua, there's a limestone cliff separating the road above from the beach below. The placement of the cliff tower gives every room a view towards the water. Hilton has several properties in Bali, but this Hilton occupies a specific niche. It's the only 5-star non-luxury property. Understanding this niche is key to having a good experience here. In addition to this Hilton, there is an Umana Bali west of here in Uluwatu, as well as 6 small luxury hotel properties that are bookable through Hilton. All of those are luxury resorts at a much higher price point. The Conrad, located 15 minutes north of here, is also technically a luxury property, but it's the closest comparable property in terms of price. Remember that. It will be on the quiz later. Welcome to room 806. Early in the year, I stayed at the Conrad, and you can find that video on the channel, along with several other Bali resorts. As of end 2024, there are 5 Bali hotel impressions on the channel and an additional 5 in the pipeline, including my visit to what's been my favorite Bali resort so far. Subscribe to the channel and you won't miss it. I post hotel impressions, destination guides, and more. And I'm just getting started. Join me, and we'll tour the world together. Overall, the room matches the rest of the resort. It's decent size, but not particularly large. It's comfortable, but not luxurious. It's updated, though showing a bit of wear in some spots. Not much to the minibar. Instead, there was a card directing me to in-room dining. The room has a modest amount of closet space, but there is a place for your bags to sit. The bathroom is nothing special, but it's clean, and there's a window to the room allowing natural light. One thing I will say is having an ocean view was a major plus. In addition to the 16-story cliff tower, there are guest rooms in the north and south wings. Which building you're in and on what floor will determine the view in the room category. It's a lot to get a handle on, but had I ended up in one of the rooms facing off to the side or too low to have a proper view of the water, it would have felt much less special. Something to keep in mind when considering the Hilton Bali. Now, let's go down and get a closer look at the pool and the beach area. The layout of the pool area hints at the ideal guest for this resort. This is very much a place for families. That's not to say singles and couples can't enjoy the Hilton, just that there aren't that many places outside of your room to escape and to be by yourself. There is an adult pool, but it's right next to the kids' pool, so there's no real separation. While the pool area was getting steady use during my stay, there was no lack of loungers. That's always nice. As I show you around the pool area, let me talk about for whom I think the Hilton is best. Showing you around has been the easy part. The hard part has been putting my thoughts about the Hilton in proper context. I spent the night before at the Aperva Kempinski next door, and it would make little sense to compare the two properties. This is part of why I don't think of myself as a reviewer. Still, I do endeavor to give you some idea of whether this is the right property for you. Without further ado, I'll give you the tourist do's and don'ts. Do consider the Hilton Bali Resort if you want to spend part of your trip in Nusa Dua and you're looking for a basic, big box resort at this price range. The Hilton is among the cheapest of the internationally branded hotels in the area. And do consider the Hilton if you have Hilton Honors Gold status or higher. The room upgrade and the complimentary breakfast will elevate the experience. On the other hand, if you want to be in a livelier part of the island, then consider somewhere other than Nusa Dua. Also, if you're dead set on a Hilton, and it's within your budget, consider the Conrad instead. Finally, if you're not wedded to Hilton properties, both Hyatt and Marriott have properties nearby that are at a slightly higher price point, but better all-around resorts. The key selling point here is the price, but at this price you should temper your expectations. My key takeaway here is this. If you've got the wiggle room in your budget, try the Conrad instead. It's a more impressive property all around. If not, then consider paying a little extra to have one of the rooms in the Cliff Tower. While the Hilton is a beach resort, don't come here for the beach. The most attractive beach areas in Nusa Dua are further up north. The Hilton has done its best to give you sandy areas to lounge and enjoy looking at the water, but the beach itself is underwhelming. Although, there is an area off to the side that has some better looking beach. As an aside, I realize I've been to quite a few resorts in Bali, but they've all been internationally branded properties. I've stayed at plenty of small local hotels as well, but I've not been to any of the locally branded resorts. This is making comparisons difficult, and I realize this is a hole in my experience that I ought to address in future trips. For those who have experience with the local resorts, how do they stack up? I'd love to hear your comments down below. Down here you'll also find some of the resort's food and beverage options. There's the Shore, serving local seafood with Mediterranean touches, along with a nice view of the ocean. And there's the Breeze, the Hilton's take on a rustic beach bar. While we're down here, I'll note the Mandara Spa is located adjacent to the pool area and is open daily from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. I had no treatments, so I won't comment on the spa service. And the fitness center is on the ground floor of the Cliff Tower. I found it to be a bit dimly lit, but the equipment was okay. Also in the Cliff Tower is a kids club. Finally, let's head to Grain, the all-day restaurant and where breakfast is served. Breakfast was one of the highlights of my stay here. It's quite common for resorts like this one to have a wide array of food on offer, but for most of it to be at meh quality. Here at the Hilton, everything I tried was good. Just across from Grain is Payon Bali, which is the Indonesian restaurant. This is as good a place as any to end our look around the Hilton Bali Resort. Thanks for staying with me until the end. If you've enjoyed the video or found it helpful in your travel planning, please do hit the like button and let YouTube know there's an audience for videos like this one. And do stay tuned for more.